Hello and welcome. Welcome to our community learning YouTube briefing. Those of you that joined us last year and the year before will know that we usually get this bit done first, but this year we've got all the fun out of the way first, and then we would give you the important messages. So I'm joined here by my colleagues, Angela, who will be joining us in a minute, and Julie, and we've also got Jenny, who is actually in the corner working out all your chats and sign-ins, and is going to be fielding questions that she's going to pass to us today. James is on tech, as always, doing a grand job in the corner. But it is my absolute delight to welcome our special guest today, Jane Taylor, Head of Service for Employment Skills and Learning, and she's going to give you a quick view from the top. Over to you, Jane.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne, and thank you to everybody that's been involved in preparing this wonderful event. I'm really pleased to hear that you had a really good first day, and that there's more to come this afternoon. So I've just been asked to give a little bit of a view from the top, and I wanted to start by looking back. Because, at this point of the year, we've all had a nice summer break, but I think I wanted to take this opportunity just to say, for everybody working across our West of England Community Learning Consortium, a massive thank you. Because when we look back over the year we've just had, there have been so many challenges coming through the COVID-19 pandemic, and I do understand and I appreciate the impact that's had on everybody in all of our personal lives, and then confronted with learners and all the people we work with and the impact on them. So whether you're a manager, a team leader, a development worker, a tutor, you're part of the business support team, you're a learning support assistant or an apprentice or a volunteer, massive thank you. You're doing an absolutely awesome job, and thanks to you, last year we absolutely nailed our targets, and we achieved a great job, and the impact we had on learners was immense. When I think about the top, and I was just doing a flick through what are the headlines today, it's just there's more overwhelming information, and you're probably feeling it. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can't even bear to look at the news right now, because what's coming at us is it's pretty challenging. We've still got the impact of Brexit. We know we've got migrants trying to enter this country because of war-torn countries and economic depression. We have our own threatened recession and all of the hike in energy bills and the increased uptake in food banks, and we have now we're starting to see more homeless people. There's more violence. It's terrible stories, and we have an election campaign going on to replace our Prime Minister. And we're going to have a new cabinet, and there's a lot of upheaval. And I haven't even mentioned the war in Ukraine. We've got an international war that's impacting globally. So this is a lot for us, and it's a lot for all of us to take in. But it makes me think, when I step back from it, what a critical role community learning has right now, more than ever, as a critical frontline service. And for our professional tutor staff and development workers, those people on the front line, you have got such an important role making sure that people have information they need about the support that's out there. And in my slides, which you will be sent following today, I've added the cost of living websites for both North Somerset and Bristol, because our councils are working really hard to pull together the support. So do keep an eye on that, because that's being updated all the time, and make sure that you're up to speed with what's out there. And I know that you're going to be doing a great job giving people advice through the next few months and through the next year. One of the other updates that I wanted to share with you that's going to be coming at us this year, both in North Somerset and in Bristol, is Multiply. We know that half of our working population have everyday math skills roughly what would be expected of a primary school child, and that is behind other leading nations, and that impacts on people's ability to function in life as well as in work. So as part of the Levelling Up programme, the DFE have created a £559 million fund for 3 years called Multiply. And for the next 3 years, they want us to work together. For us, it's within our with other local providers to devise new engagement activities and to support people to overcome their complete fear of maths and to perhaps succeed in moving on to accredited maths. Both North Somerset Council and the Combined Authority have come together, and there's a 4.1 million pot of money. And both councils have been involved in bidding for the first year. We're going to be hearing the outcome of that in the end of September. And if we're successful, well, there's going to be a lot of maths going on. And we're going to need all of you to help with this, because the first year is actually only 6 months. It's a very, very quick turnaround. And community learning we're being seen as having a critical role. And it's some of the fun stuff. It's talking about people about this, and just switching them on to thinking and talking about maths. We want to do a bit of listening in this first phase. So watch out for that. Quality I wanted to mention. I can never talk to this group without talking about quality. And when I was thinking about it, I thought, well, you know what? We had our last Ofsted inspection in February 2020. 20? No, it was just as COVID was about to hit. It was probably already here, and it was probably already weaving its way through the population. So if you think that Ofsted, the usual pattern is 4 years, it's very likely we will have a monitoring inspection in 2024, early part of 2024. Now, this means that our performance in 22-23 this year, that's going to be really important for us, because if they do come at that early point in 24, they will be looking at our self-assessment report for what is this year. So for everybody in the team, that just means a few things. We've got to keep driving up the quality of our teaching and learning with support from Suzanne and the team, making sure the focus and the content of our curriculum is in line with our planned intent, and I know you'll be looking at that and you've been discussing that. And of course there are all the core elements that you know about: equality, safeguarding, learner assessment, digital skills, progression, and capturing outcomes and impact. And in thinking about this whole notion of impact, I wanted to share an update on some national policy changes going even further up. Yesterday I took part in a conversation at a national level through our local authority body called HOLEX, because the government are consulting on some changes to the way community learning is funded. The good news is, because we've been at the forefront of targeted provision for so many years now, if they're going to move community learning to outcomes that are about work and progression and helping those with learning difficulties, these are the three main outcomes they think are going to come in the future from next year. We have to be so good at capturing the steps towards progression. We know that some people are far away from work, but the steps they make towards work or towards further learning, we need to be capturing. And I'm sharing here a case study. Can you help us gather case studies like this one? This is from Birmingham Adult Learning Service. But we need to be so good at telling stories and showing impact. One other thing that is happening in our world is WECA are going to be putting some resource into a new all-age advice hub. And that could be a service that helps us reach more people. So that's something to keep looking out for. So my final few observations just for today. I started with a slide that said today all these terrible things, these challenging, heavy things. But I'm going to leave you with a different picture of a today because of you and because of community learning. One that is about the joy of learning. It's the joy of coming together, learning from each other, encouraging strong communities by people getting involved, learning new skills, strengthening families. And that I am so, I wish you all really a fantastic start to the term, a fantastic rest of conference, and that you stay connected because you're going to need to support each other through this year. Keep learning and remember what you do, my goodness, it does make a lasting difference to people's lives. So thank you.
Thank you ever so much. Jane Taylor, everybody. And what wonderful positive message there that you just ended with about collaborating to support our community. That's really strong. Thank you for that. Jenny, do we have any questions at the moment?
No specific questions, but I wonder whether we can go back to the multiply team and ask them how a maths multiplier thing can make a year 6 months. It doesn't quite add up, that, does it?
Yeah, that was the first mathematical conundrum we had to pass in order to get big money.
Yeah. That, I'm afraid, was to do with...
It's the world of funding.
It's the world of funding. And I think we can all see the government has had a lot on their plate. And the DFE, whilst they put out some basic information, they didn't get their detail out really before June. So the beginning of the first year got
Squashed.
It shrank. So it's the same all over the country. We're not the only area that will have to put a year into 6 months. And the worst case scenario is we spend half of the first year's money. And at the moment, we don't know whether we can move it forward or whether we'll lose that money. But I think what we need to do, what we're focused on, is doing our best possible job so that we're really in a good place to then apply for funding in years 2 and 3.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jenny, for asking the hard question. Jane, I'm going to ask you to pop off our mini stage here.
Yes.
And I'm going to now thank you for your wonderful presentation, as always, very, very enlightening, and to introduce our manager, Angela Marshall, for the next part of the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. So I'm not going to apologise for reading from my notes because I too want to thank you all for the overwhelmingly brilliant job that you've been doing, not just last year, but the year before that, and just when we think we're going to get over things, something else has come along. So you've all been working brilliantly, and what I thought I would like to do is try and consolidate the thanks from the learner voice. So I've been going through all our evaluations and finding out how the learners want to thank you for the work that you've been doing. And alongside that, as a team, we've been thinking about our purpose, because once you go through something like we've been through over the last 2 years, it's always a good time to think, is our purpose the same as it was before, or has it changed a little bit? So in various team meetings, we've been thinking about our purpose. So I'm going to put those two things together, and hopefully you'll go away with a warm feeling, knowing that this is what the purpose is, how you meet it, and how grateful the learners are for all your hard work. So the other thing I have to admit is I've dressed badly and my bracelet keeps getting caught up in the trousers. Okay, so purpose of community learning. Now, I've taken this from the AEB funding rules. We talk a lot about ASB, adult skills and functional skills, and the funding rules around that, but there are some rules around community learning. So I delved into those a little bit. And what they state is that it's to focus public funding on people who are disadvantaged, least likely to participate, including those in rural areas and those on low income and low skills, and to develop the skills, confidence, motivation and resilience of adults at different ages and different backgrounds. So Jane has said that we have absolutely hit our targets. So just to prove that, I'm not going to go through it in any particular detail, but you can see there that we've got well over our enrolments. You might say we haven't got our learner target, Angela, but that is actually demonstrating that many of our learners choose to learn with us not once or twice, but they're making progression through our curriculum towards that employment and further education. So I'm not too worried about that, because we know returners are learning, learners are returning even. So I think one of the things we struggled with over lockdown was getting some of our targets right. But all of that has come back. The number of learners below a level 2, 78% of our learners do not have a level 2. That's really strong targeting. And this is across the consortium, so North Somerset and Bristol, these figures. And 55% of our learners are coming from the most deprived SOAs. You might think that's a bit lower than I thought, Angela, but that's because in North Somerset the percentage is slightly different. But it's still a wonderful achievement. So well done for that, supporting us, because this is what gives WACA the confidence to keep on giving us our growth funding and the other bids that we go for. So this all helps with that end of things as well. So, next slide. Okay. One of the other purposes we have is to widen participation, and there's some lovely words in this, and transform people's destinies by supporting progression and progression in relevant personal circumstances. So I love that, transforming people's destinies. And we do that by improving confidence and willingness to engage in learning. And we know that some of our learners don't even really want to be there, or have been tentative about coming. And yet we know from our learners that they appreciate that we've given them the opportunity to be there. So these are just things people have said. I found the course very informative, and it helped me with my confidence. And now I'm interested in doing more courses, as I've really enjoyed doing the last 2. So already I'm looking forward to their 3rd course. I want to do more writing and learn how to do more grammar. The best thing about this course is that I've confidence and met some lovely people. And it's given the confidence to attend more courses in my area. So not just with us, but to go out and look for other courses that might be useful to them. So we're definitely engaging people and wanting them to do more learning, which is fantastic. Acquisition of skills and preparing people for training and employment. So what have people said about that? So after doing a cookery course, an engagement cookery course, one learner has said, well, what I need now is a childcare course and an English course. Oh yes, and a maths course as well, please. Somebody else, I'm looking forward to doing the level 1 health and social care course after doing the introduction to childcare course. And then thank you for all the training that's provided. I now have a clear understanding of all the skills on a computer and can use them successfully in a new career. So somebody has come into a basic IT course without any skills and now not only has developed those skills but feel like they know how to use them in their career, which is absolutely fantastic. Improved digital, financial and literacy and communication skills. So we know 2 years ago that we might have gone a little bit at the whole idea of improving people's digital skills because we weren't really too sure what our own were. But learners are really, really appreciating the fact that we can now do it and they can learn off of us. So I've picked up many skills on the laptop, which has boosted my confidence. I found the course so helpful and it built my confidence to carry on learning. And now I feel confident writing letters, using word processing Excel and PowerPoint, and I really look forward to doing more learning. So it goes to show that we can pass on those digital skills. I found the course most helpful and I've picked up many skills. Oh, we've done that one before. Good advice on ways to save money and learn how to tap into my creative side. And the other reason that I've yellowed out financial literacy is because the cost of living crisis is going to have a huge impact on our learners and we need to be fully aware of that. And if there's any ways that we can support our learners with their financial literacy, budgeting skills and their maths skills, that is somewhere that we definitely need to go next year. And we can do it because our learners thanked us for it. So we know what to do. We may just well have to do more of it next year. Okay?
Yeah.
Lovely. Parents and carers also recognise the importance of coming on our courses. I loved being a part of a group setting, getting to learn new things involving my son, and felt proud of bringing the food home and having a tasty meal to share with my family. It's been really enjoyable, great to have time as parents and then with children too. Useful strategies that we've tried at home. Of course, family learning reduced a little bit, or actually quite a bit, over lockdown because we couldn't get into schools and children's centres. But these are just a few comments from courses that we've picked up this year, and we're beginning to increase the numbers of family learning courses again. And the parents really appreciate that. So thank you for those people who have who've done some of that family learning. Health and social well-being. People don't often comment about their mental health or well-being in evaluations, but we know from discussions that improves. But we do have somebody who's really, really pleased that they can now make healthier meals and use more digital embedding to make healthier choices. And that's going to be really important going forward too. So thanks for the cookery teachers for doing that. Develop stronger communities with more self-sufficient, connecting and proactive citizens. Now that's straight from the learning, the funding rules. Do we do that? Do our learners think we do that? Yes, they do. So our volunteering courses get people into volunteering. So this one learner has reflected on feeling positive about volunteering in their local school, which is really good because it's supporting their local community. And giving them the confidence maybe to do something in their career around working in schools. And this is a particular Bristol example, but I feel very excited to embark on the next 10 weeks of this Level 2 Independent Advocacy course. And thank you for all the great support so far. And that's really important because that's people who've been through stuff, helping other people who are going through stuff. And I say stuff because it started off as a family and children focused programme, but now it's open to anybody who's got a real life experience, so that they can then support those people who are going through the same. So that is just such a brilliant piece of work, and will really support communities. Reduce costs on welfare, health and antisocial behaviour. Well, that's a little bit of a hard one to prove in many ways, but as an example, our first aid courses have really supported parents over the last 2 years to be more confident about how they look after the health of their children and themselves. In Hartcliffe, it was very much to do about stopping parents from running off to A&E all the time with conditions they really don't know how to deal with. So our courses have supported parents, so they've got the confidence to go, no, actually, that just needs this. So that has reduced the weight on our healthcare services. Increased online learning and self-organised learning. You didn't know all this is in the funding rules, but it is. But look what we've managed to do. I love the course and would love to do more online courses. Who knew people would ask us for that? If there is the possibility of organising an online course, I would be interested in that group. I think we've indulged ourselves. Have we got more here, James? Yes. An excellent course, well taught. I feel empowered to do online learning. It doesn't have to be online learning with us. Those people are going off and finding other courses to support their progression, which is brilliant. Thank you. An excellent day, and great to see the whole group succeed on the task. Feel fired up to do more as a group. And that's more about learning, going away as a group of people and thinking, well, community learning can't give us any more, but we're going to go ahead and work as a group and do it ourselves, which is fab. Right, I've lost my notes, I've got so enthusiastic. Lives of troubled families. Now, we know that our learners have complex lives, and some of them come to us and it's right at the beginning of just sorting themselves out. And this quote, I think, is wonderful. It was a very useful and informative course, and definitely has reduced the stress of parenting a little. Well, that's a lot sometimes. Things just feel a little better. And increased the quality of relationship with my son. Amazing that this can be done in such a short amount of time. So it doesn't have to be much. It just has to be spot on, which is what we're doing. And great course, and thank you so much. So even in that area where you think, oh, I don't know, we are doing some good. And then there's our working with other partners and commissioning other people who can reach learners that we maybe can't reach. And we know that we have had a solid band of commission partners that have worked with us over the last 2 years. This year, we've had such an increased number of people coming to us and saying, we can offer this in our community, can you support us? So the number of commission partners has increased. Hello to anybody out there who's new to community learning, you'll be getting to see more of us. But it isn't just the commission partners we work with. We're working with colleges, our employment support services, our economic regen within the council, housing, our refugee commissioning teams, children's centres, schools, local voluntary organisations, drug and alcohol rehabilitation organisations, employers, and of course all our wonderful volunteers. So we are absolutely out there, and sometimes when you walk around a community with a development worker, you can't get up the road for people going, hello, hello, and it's lovely to be in that position. So, it's very interesting what you said earlier, Jane, about the meeting you went to yesterday, because these community learning funding rules have been changed this year. They haven't changed for years, but they've changed this year, and what they've done is they've ramped up the progression statement. So it's always said, and I'm going to go back to this transforming people's destinies by supporting progression, because I love it, but they've added this. And we would expect you to encourage and support all learners to progress onto new or more stretching provision to help them into more formal learning or employment. So they've snuck it in already this year, even though they might be doing more about it next. So our role, as we're teaching and enjoying those learning moments, and yesterday we learned to call it crossing the carpet. moving, making a difference. How am I different at the end of my course than I was at the beginning? And that difference can then be utilised in order to support people to progress either to more learning or into employment. And that's what we need to keep our eye on those conversations we have with learners. So in a nutshell, what do we want you to do? Well, first of all, keep doing what you're doing, because obviously the learners love it. Continue that stuff around digital embedding. I know that James and some of you have been looking at all our new kit. Come and have a look, because it's so useful. Even if it goes a bit wrong when you use it at first, it gets easier. Please support learners with their financial literacy. We had a little chat about that today in one of the curriculum groups. We know we're not experts, but the websites that Jane has put up and the groups that are beginning to form out there in the communities and within the council, there will be people we can signpost our learners to, or to get into our courses so that we can support them. So it's not all about you providing the information, but allowing the learners to access that information where they need it. And this is the RAPA section that Suzanne's going to talk about in a minute. It's really important. Yesterday, the guy said to us, RAPA fuels progress. And I just love that. It's a powerful tool to support learners to make progress. And so we're going to be looking at RAPA this year and supporting you and helping you to get it right. Because if it fuels progress, then that's what we need. And talk about progression. So progress on your course and progression in life. So that's really where we are going forward. So thank you for being part of our learner story and our story, and the next chapter, which is a bit scary because we've got lots of new projects and lots of exciting things happening, but we know that we can put it off together.
Absolutely. Thank you ever so much. Thank you, Marshall. Community learning manager, and she's got to run away and leave me now.
I am. Do you want me to sit here and
just any questions before you run away?
No particular questions, but a couple of possible case study suggestions. So
excellent, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hot off the
Brilliant.
press. And I know that Julie's curriculum group were talking about impactful stories as well, so I really look forward to hearing those at a later date. Thank you, and do keep that in mind, and Jane will be very pleased with us.
Yeah.
Thank
Brilliant.
you, Angela.
No problem. I'll leave you on your own.
Okay, so it's my job now to just do a little bit of recapping on what we were talking about yesterday and this morning in the curriculum meeting. So apologies if you might already know some of this, if you were with us this morning, but thank you very much for being part of the discussion. And we might just need to locate something for somebody. Do give us a moment. This is the bit that they will cut out as a bloop when you do TV.
Makes it seem more believable.
So where were we? So listening to those two really interesting presentations there, it's got me thinking about the 3 I's there. So fantastic overview there from Angela, talking about impact. And that straight from the learners' mouths is just so important. We can't ever forget that impact that we make on people's lives that is transformative, and as our trainer said yesterday, was magical, was the word he was using, and how RAPA can be used as a magical way to transform. So really, really good to just keep remembering that, and thanking you for making that impact on learners' lives. And before that, we had Jane's presentation, which really got us thinking a little bit about intent and what our intent is for this year, and about those new projects that we've got on board, and about the new challenges that are there. And thinking about, even though we've got big intent, we've got big ideas about what we want to do, and we've got these new funding streams, we've got that kind of rather depressing things that we've got going on, but we've also got really powerful forces that are going to help us to help the learners. So that's brilliant. So those are the 2 other I's, the impact and the intent. And my job really going forward is going to be support you all with the nuts and bolts of it, the exciting bit for me, which is the implementation. Before that, we've got to think about how training can support you in that. And these are some of the training ideas. On the last slide were some of the things that you'd asked us for. And we've got things like knowing more about learner diversity and revisiting things such as dyslexia awareness and how we can support learners with tech tools and strategies and ideas. The core tutors in particular are going to be looking at that. We've got lots of ideas about tech learning that we're going to revisit and refresh. So those of you might think, I think I've got it, but I'm not 100% sure, we can help you with that as well. But just moving on, James, thank you. So this is what we've got kind of on the table and nailed down plans so far, but this doesn't mean that this is all we're going to have. So we have got some more mandatory online training that we will ask you to do, and that is in loan working and manual handling. And this is really going to help support you when you're working on an outreach basis and working safely, making sure that you're doing your picking and carrying up. We know that in community learning, and we've, all of the team leaders here and the manager have all been a tutor, so we know what the challenges are. Making sure that you're moving things from A to B safely and you feel supported to do that, that you shouldn't be moving around enormous oak tables by yourself, and that you look after yourself. But you also think about when you are maybe the key holder or you have a very limited support from your venue, how you can make sure that you are, saying kind of what if to yourself and making sure you're mitigating that risk. We've got coaching, training opportunities, and I'll send that out again now you're all back from your holidays. You can have a look at that. And that's a 3-part training programme that we've had fantastic feedback from last year. So I'm hoping some of you that may be more working with learners towards the progression end of our spectrum might find that really useful to actually do some kind of one-to-one tutorials and employ those coaching skills to get learners to think for themselves about where they want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 2 years' time. We've also got more digital training that James and I will be collaborating with to do. We've got some It's Learning training coming up really soon, so do let us know if you're interested in signing up for that. We have got an equality and diversity pilot that Melissa, our core tutor for ESOL, and myself have been working on. So look out for ideas about that and us getting together as a team to talk about things like intersectionality and how our identity impacts on our privilege or our lack of it, and how we can be mindful of that when we're teaching certain groups. And last but not least, we've talked already and we've heard from Angela and Jane about the cost of living crisis. It's about not how we can become debt experts, because there's no way I'd be able to do that. I certainly wouldn't expect you to do that, but to be thinking about when the red flags are coming up, if learners are telling you that they've switched off their electricity because they're worried about bills, which is an extreme case scenario, but we know it's already happening, that we can be tuning into those kind of ideas and issues and ways we can step in and support and say, can you try this, can you try that, or we might be getting guest speakers in to come and talk as well. Okay, thank you, James. So back to the implementation. And we know that our trainer yesterday, and Angela has really mentioned it beautifully as well, about walking across the carpet. So the carpet is the stuff we do when we're implementing, but what we're really interested in is the end of the journey. So how is the learner here, and how is the learner at the end of that learning programme? So I've got a bit of a staircase here. So if you think of a carpeted staircase, we can put the two analogies together. A bit clumsy, but I think we can go with it for now. And this is an overview of RAPA, as you're all very, very aware of, recognising and recording progress and achievement. A real magical, transformative programme that isn't kind of nailed down by awarding bodies and allows us to create bespoke programmes that really respond to learner need, learner interest, and kind of where they want to be. So we're very interested in all of these points, and that following these steps is going to make sure that learners get a real useful, reliable learning programme that's going to move them on to where they want to be. So we've made some changes, and we've got new resources to share with you, and I'll be sending around some Google Drive links for that. But some of the things we've been tweaking over the last month has been the scheme of work. And what we've been thinking about is Ofsted's intent, the overall curriculum intent of our whole organisation, but also your intent for your course, what we used to call your aim. And we want to make sure that this is robust and it makes sense and it's kind of driving the rest of the course correctly. Because sometimes if your intent or your aim is a bit off or it doesn't suit those learners, then the rest of it is going to kind of fall by the wayside a little bit. So we've given you some prompts in the new scheme of work to just help you think through that and to get it to maybe reflect and become part of what the wider Community Learning West intent is. So that's just to kind of help you think about and structure your intent, thinking about the learning outcomes, but also thinking about what the training was referring to yesterday, which was about making that attitudinal change, which is a weird word to say, but I know what it means, about those changes in attitudes that's going to make learners independent, hungry for more knowledge, and ready to progress. So that's the wider community learning aim that you'll be able to look at when we send the slides round. And I'm just coming along to ROP evidencing now. So the other aspect of the scheme of work that we've changed is now we're going to ask you to state at the start of the course, when you share your scheme of work with your development worker, which elements of evidence are you going to be showing us by the end of the course that shows that learner journey and shows that that learner is making progress, they're thinking about their learning, and that you're giving them really good structured positive feedback in order to develop that motivation to succeed. So the intrinsic motivation that learners are going to need to get on. So that's kind of our aim and where we need to be. So that tick box, we want you to start thinking about it and start ticking those boxes and start sharing that with your development worker so they really know from the start of the course what they're going to expect to see. These kind of random sampling of learner work is really going to put us in good stead for proving to Ofsted, proving to WECA, so funders, quality improvement standards, that we know what we're doing, we're hot on it, and we can provide the evidence to show that what we do really works. Okay, thank you, James.
That's it.
Okay, so that's it for the formal slides. The one thing that I still haven't done is to echo the two thank yous that have gone before and to just say a huge thank you for last year, which was a bit of a weird year. It was kind of, COVID was gone, but it wasn't quite gone. And I know we all had our own issues and things we needed to worry about. And you really, really did rise to that occasion of going back into classrooms with confidence, often working with learners they were either newly arrived to the country or very nervous or suffering from long-term mental health problems such as anxiety and lack of motivation, not really knowing where they were. We called learners stuck. There was a lot of learners that were really stuck, not kind of knowing where they were. Attendance wasn't great, and you've really taken them through a really strong process this year and enabled and been part of that magic to kind of help them to transform their lives. So thank you from all of us here for that. So, that's enough blathering on from me. Jenny, do we have any final questions?
We don't really. We're very quiet
Okay.
on the comments.
Quiet and shy on the
I can see that there are
airwaves.
people watching and listening, but at the moment they're all keeping themselves to themselves.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe they think if we don't ask questions, this horrible ends sooner. Okay then. So can I thank my colleagues that are in the room? So thank you, James, for all your tech wonderfulness. Thank you, Angela, for your fabulous presentation. Thank you, Jenny, in the background, working hard there and fielding your questions and the sign-ins. We've also got Julie, who's been strangely shy today and doesn't want to come on camera, but she's been doing a sterling job yesterday and this morning in the curriculum meeting. So thank you, Julie. And everything will be put on Google Drive. We'll send you around the link. Don't forget to do your evaluation so you can get your pay if you're casual hours tutors. And have a great year, everyone, and a great term. Thank you ever so much.
Hey.
And we're gone.
Oh.
Yeah.